Hello. This week, instead of doing a video with using iMovies, I decided to go ahead and use this whiteboard application for the iPad, known as Dossary, to present you with the information that we need to know for this week. Dossary is available on Edmodo, and I'm just writing it down so you guys can kind of see how this thing looks when we work it. Please have students download this, as well as yourself. And we're going to do a variety of activities using this, but the first thing we'll do is we'll start off focusing on the types of activities that we can do from our end with the students. And then next week we'll go ahead and take a look at some applications that students can do using this as well. This week is going to begin with a B day, because the last day we had was an 8 a.m. Wednesday, where you left off. Okay, with the iPad carts, please pick the iPad carts up before the morning meeting, so I'll put before 8 o'clock, and we'll follow our routines at the end of the day when we return them. Just continue checking them in as you've been doing. So far so good. We've had a really nice, organized, secure system, and we definitely want to make sure that from our end, like Dean Lewis and I, making sure that somebody's charging these things so we don't have any problems in the morning. Okay, school security. I want to remind you to please keep doors locked. And I'm writing this down not because you need me to, but just to kind of show you how you might do this with a student, because we're going to save this and use it for review in case you forgot about something. So we want to make sure that while we're teaching, we keep the doors locked. Our school security process is very simple and very elegant, and something as simple as keeping the doors locked while we teach makes a major difference. Okay, on Edmodo we have a variety of math books and also ELA books. Please make sure that the students download these books to their iPads and save those on their iPads by Monday. Really, by the time we return tomorrow, by the end of the day, everybody should have everything that we have uploaded on Edmodo downloaded and saved on their iPads. For a long time during the first semester, the teacher teams and us have tried to figure out creative ways to overcome the limitations of the internet and that kind of thing. Well, bam, this is it. Download all this material onto the iPads, and that allows us to do all the things we need to do during the daytime without wearing out the bandwidth. But it also allows us to have this stuff available up on Edmodo so that parents can access it from home. It creates a great habit for the first semester. Okay, now on Edmodo, let's go ahead and do this. Let's make sure that we're following our regular game plan, which means that we are communicating our objectives for our week. We're posting the homework, and that we are also providing resources for parents to use at home. Now, one thing we're going to add to that is this whiteboard application here, okay? And what we're going to do with that is we're going to give an overview of our lesson plan. So many of you will turn in a 1-week lesson plan or a 2-week lesson plan. Well, what we want to do with this overview right here is we want to get on this whiteboard and record this type of message like I'm doing right now. And we want to say, by the end of this lesson, which is going to be a week or 2 weeks, the child will be able to do this, okay? Will be able. And we'll kind of describe it or illustrate it. And then we'll talk in just bullet points about how we're going to show them that. We're going to do some lessons on these topics, do a couple of activities on this, have a couple of quizzes, etc. But the main thing is, with the overview, we want to use the whiteboard to present this is what the child will be able to do by the end of this 1 or 2 week lesson cycle. And we'll be doing a range of activities, and we'll have homework, etc. And we talked earlier in the first semester about using formative assessment, not so much to evaluate students, even though it's a good evaluation tool, but as a tool to diagnose. I'll put diagnostic. As a diagnostic tool to identify where the students are and what we need to reteach en route to our quiz and our summative assessments. We want to use formative assessments diagnostically. If we are doing this, then by the time we get to our quiz or by the time we get to our major test, we shouldn't have any surprises with a whole bunch of kids who got F's, because using these diagnostic formative assessments, we know who's getting it, who's not getting it, and we have the opportunity to fix those problems along the way. These diagnostic assessments can take form in short pop quizzes, definitely exit tickets. I want to encourage you guys to use exit tickets daily if possible. And the way you would use that, you can't read it. All right. And the way you would use that is that the students, at the end of your one day of teaching, you'll just ask them a question. You don't even have to prepare it. You can just ask them off the top of your head, answer this question. And they leave and you look at it that night and you see if they got that or not. And that tells you if you might need to go review that the next day you see those students. Okay, use these things formatively on the way to your quizzes and tests so we don't have any surprises. Finally, the copy machines, we mentioned this earlier. The copy machines have been running a lot of paper and it's creating a major expense. So the numbers of copies that everybody's going to be getting are going to be reduced dramatically. So we definitely need to reduce our reliance on copies. And one way we can do it is through using Edmodo, downloading materials onto the iPads, and using programs like this, Diagnostic, to communicate what we need to the students without having to run off lots and lots of copies. Now, of course, you're still going to need copies for a variety of reasons, but using these resources right here, we should be able to very easily reduce our copies. Now, the stuff that I have uploaded to Edmodo is not the end-all be-all of what students will need. Okay, the ELA stuff is primarily is literally for the elective classes to use to reinforce reading comprehension strategies on B days. The math materials I have are for the math teachers to use, and also to help us to access materials for the after-school program. But you guys have access to materials and supplies. You might not be able to get an entire textbook, but you can get sections of information to use to upload to Edmodo and download onto those iPads and save them. Now, the materials that you guys use, don't just use stuff that don't just use stuff that is for practice, even though you definitely want to include that. But you want to use some instructional stuff as well. Instructional. Because that will make it much easier for you when it comes time to giving parents resources to use. Now, what you've been doing, taking pictures of your notes, awesome. Linking to other online resources, awesome. And what else? Uploading PowerPoints. But doing this kind of thing like I'm doing right now, this is a lesson. And I want to point out that when you do your lesson like this and you upload it to Edmodo, the parents are watching your entire lesson. And if the kids download it to their iPads, they could be sitting in your class with headphones on, reviewing this lesson and taking notes on it until they get it. Now, the beauty of that is that, for example, I'm doing this lesson one time, and it can be heard by everybody all at the same time without me physically having to move from place to place, and people can listen to it over and over and over again. Okay, it's very convenient. It's a very efficient way for us to approach instruction. So we definitely want to make great use of this type of resource. It's simple, it's elegant, it gets the job done. All right, you guys have a great week.